I want to start with the question. How many of you paid taxes this year? And how many of you enjoyed paying it, right? Because nobody likes paying taxes. It's like going to the DMV, but you have to pay for the privilege of being disappointed. But here's the thing. We tell ourselves a story about taxes. We say, yeah, it sucks, but at least it goes to schools, roads, maybe healthcare if we're lucky. Except it doesn't. 20% of every dollar you pay in federal taxes doesn't go to fixing that pothole on your street. It doesn't pay for your kid's teacher. It goes directly into the pockets of the wealthiest people on earth, and it gets worse. By 2040, that number is projected to hit 40%. By 2060, over 50% of your tax dollars will go straight to rich people, just sitting on yachts collecting checks from you. We are living through the largest wealth transfer in human history, and most of us have no idea it's happening. Tonight, let's break down how we got here, who's getting rich, and why this system is heading toward a breaking point. Let's talk about debt. Debt isn't inherently bad. Countries need to borrow money sometimes. During World War II, U.S. debt hit 119% of GDP. But that made sense. We were fighting Nazis. You can't tell Hitler to give us a few years, we're balancing the budget. After the war, we paid it down. By the 1970s, debt was under 35%, manageable, and then something changed. In 1980, Ronald Reagan promised tax cuts, more military spending, and somehow a balanced budget. It didn't work. Taxes on the wealthy were cut, military spending doubled, and the debt tripled from $900 billion to $2.7 trillion. When you cut taxes on the rich, you don't magically create revenue. Someone else pays, and that someone is the middle class. Here's the cycle. The government borrows from the rich. You pay taxes. The government uses your taxes to pay interest to the rich. They take that money and buy more bonds, and the cycle repeats every year, bigger than before. In 2024, the U.S. paid $892 billion in interest, more than education, veterans benefits, infrastructure, NASA, and the FBI combined. Within a decade, that number could hit $1.6 trillion every year. So where does that money go? About 30% goes to foreign governments. 25% to mutual funds and hedge funds, 15% to pension funds, and around 30% directly or indirectly to the top 1%. So when you pay taxes, you're basically transferring wealth upward. And this isn't just America. Japan's debt is over 260% of GDP. The UK spends around 10% of tax revenue on interest. France tried to fix things and faced massive protests. The reality is simple. The debt is growing faster than the economy, which means we are falling behind. By 2040, 40% of tax revenue may go to interest. By 2060, over 50%. At that point, budgets shrink to essentials. Everything else gets squeezed, and that's the base scenario. But things could accelerate. A major war could add trillions more in debt. Politicians won't raise taxes for it, they'll borrow. That speeds everything up. Another risk is the global demand for US dollars. For decades, oil has been traded in dollars. That creates constant demand. But if countries shift away from the dollar, demand drops, interest rates rise, debt becomes harder to manage. Some analysts believe this shift could happen within a few years, not decades. When countries can't manage debt, history gives us examples. Greece faced austerity, Argentina collapsed financially, Weimar Germany experienced hyperinflation, and instability often leads to extreme political shifts. So what can be done? At a global level, this is complex, but at a personal level, there are choices. One option is to become an investor. Owning assets means you benefit from the system instead of just funding it. It's not perfect, but it's reality. Another option is accountability. You cannot have low taxes, high spending, strong military, and low debt all at once. It's math. Choices have to be made, And finally, community matters. In times of instability, people rely on people. Local systems, relationships, support networks become important. This topic is heavy, but history shows recovery is possible. After World War II, debt was extremely high, yet the country invested in infrastructure innovation and growth and reduced that debt over time. It required strong policy and difficult decisions. The question is not whether solutions exist. The question is whether there is the will to implement them, because right now the system continues in a direction that benefits the top more than the rest, and if nothing changes, the imbalance grows.
You cannot change the government's borrowing habits, but you can change which side of the interest payment you are on. The goal is that you must stop being a passive taxpayer or debt payer and start being an active investor. You cannot vote your way out and you cannot work your way out. You can only own your way out. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe for more.